All right, welcome to episode 118 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and for some reason we've all started dancing with toys in the opening of this. I guess we just have a lot of stuff around our desk.
Because the only thing I had was a book.
That's a toy to you as well.
It is. I mean, look behind me. It's almost all books.
Well, surrounded by books, we have our friend Rachel.
It's me. I'm in my own personal library.
And then, of course, surrounded by his version of books, which are video games, Steven.
This toy and character is trash.
And then we have Chris. Chris. Oh, that's right. Chris is not here today. Sadly, he is not feeling well. Hopefully, he'll get to feeling better soon. But we're just going to leave his little picture in the corner so I don't have to read you the format. So we'll just act like it's old school version of Chris when he didn't have a camera and he's just quiet today. He'll probably find that funny, I hope.
Oh.
Man, I hope so. Oh, man.
He's got imposter syndrome from Persona.
Is that actually a thing in there?
He's likely relaxing, eating food, and playing Persona.
I'm sure there's garlic involved somehow.
Yeah, he needs to eat some of those garlic chips.
Fortunately, yeah, it's probably right.
So much garlic. That's the one thing you are not happy about me sending is that thing of those garlic chips.
I didn't think it would be that potent.
Listen,
I didn't either. I didn't open them up. I gave it to
kill a
Amanda.
vampire.
When I get those things in the mail, I will.
I need to pick some up to go along with the Shadow the Hedgehog for you.
Oh, well, I'll wait until my turn comes up because
okay,
you'll get the announcement. So
nice.
Go on.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump straight into what we've been up to or what we've been doing, and I'm actually gonna go first this time because a couple things. For one, and Steven can join in with this, we have been absolutely obsessed with Helldivers 2 to the point I think we've broken the game, or at least the servers.
Save our planet.
Right. We've killed so many bugs and robots can go to hell because those things are just, well, literally murder bots. Oh my God, they are so hard to kill.
I think some of the people we play with are murder bots too, because I've been dying a lot.
I'm so sorry. I think last night, how many times did I kill you in one round? Like 3 times? Because you kept stepping in front. I have a grenade launcher. You don't step in front of a man with a grenade launcher.
This guy, Rachel, would say grenade, but he didn't say that he put it at my foot. So I would just explode and die. And you'd be like, oh, that's what I meant. I'm so sorry. I was like, no, you don't
I've
say
heard,
grenade and not say it's coming at me.
I have friends in other servers on like Discord that have been like talking a lot about it. And they're just like, yeah, the friendly fire is very interesting in this. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, we were playing the other night and they had like a ricochet happen of, I guess, from ammo, and it just bounced off something. It just like
because the bullets will bounce off, especially some of the shielded robots, and you'll actually get an icon showing bullet bounce. I guess that can kill people. I know if you throw a grenade and it hits some of the spraying bugs, like the little fat butts, it'll bounce off. And I had I think it was Chase, his name.
Yeah,
he threw a grenade and it bounced off the butt of one of them right back at me, and I was like, oh, boom.
Oh no.
Just bounced it off dead ass. But Steven pointed out a bit of a voice acting surprise here. So Steven, if you want to let Rachel know about this lovely bit.
Yep, I'm gonna lead into it here. So I was on X and I saw a post from Roger Craig Smith saying it was an honor to be on Helldivers 2 with such high profile voice cast. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's Mission Control, which I was like, that's cool. His voice is over there. He's usually on the TV. And I was just like, so wait, so what am I missing? And fun fact, the extraction pilot who says, like, get out of the way, I'm landing.
Yep.
That's Ray Chase, the voice of Cyclops for X-Men 97.
And Noctis!
Nice.
But then I was just like, let me see what else. And I saw a certain name and I was like, no, he's voice number 2.
And
yeah,
this is the voice that I have, so I can't unhear it now.
Yeah, voice number 2 is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Yuri Lowenthal.
I can't unhear it now. Every time he yells something, I'm like, wait a minute.
And he's not changing a thing. He's just using his regular voice. So he's just like, come on, grenade. I'm leaving. And I was like, yeah, I don't want that voice.
Oh my God.
I need another clip.
So here's the funny thing, guys. If you wouldn't have told me this and I would have gotten the game and I would have been going through all the voice options, I would have known it on sight because every game I boot up, I like to play is Yuri Lowenthal in this? And the answer is always maybe.
Well, and this one I skipped over because when I was picking one, all it said was like grenade, and I didn't pick it up at first because I didn't listen to any more lines, and I went down to number 4, which the guy just sounds over the top. But then if you go back to 2 and listen to more lines, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I went for tone of voice. I was going for one that was closer to my tone. The other guy was like way too deep, or there's one that was way too high. I was like, well, this one sounds good. And then when you pointed that out and I listened to it, I was like, God, I can hear it every time he yells something now.
He's got a very distinctive voice. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I've been playing a game and walking through like a street and you hear like NPC dialogue and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then I just go, Sasuke.
I'm not that good at picking those out, sadly, but
such a listen when there's been a voice actor that's been in probably almost every piece of media that you've enjoyed, like for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Right. You recognize it, like 100% recognize it. Like it's just the way it is.
Nice. So yeah, Helldivers 2, I know they're having server problems and they'll work through that, but this game has been just chef's kiss. Like absolutely, if you're going to do a multiplayer cooperative game, this is a fantastic way to do it. And I cannot give it high enough marks because even though, yeah, we keep killing each other in accident, my bad, Steven. We've been laughing the entire time, which is a really good sign of a great game. Nobody seems frustrated or annoyed. Hell, we found out last night we were going through most of the game not earning any XP, and we were still like, oh, that sucks. Let's do another round. Like, just keep going. Like, let's just keep playing. I don't care. So that's a good sign. Play it. Next up, do you guys remember a little indie game a while back called Piku Niku?
No. Yeah.
You play as this little red blob with legs. It's really funny. I went back. I had it on Switch. And I was like, I haven't played this in a while. Let me see how far I was. I kid you not. I was outside the door of the final boss. I picked it up and beat the game in under 5 minutes. And I was like, why did I stop right there?
You got distracted, obviously, by something and then forgot about it.
Probably. I was like, I haven't played this in forever. I'll pick it back up again. Rolling credits. I'm like, what the hell? Great game, though. Also, it's really funny. I like the goofiness of it because nothing in that game is serious. It's such an obscure, weird one. But if you get a chance to play it, totally worth a download. I don't know if they ever made a physical copy of it. I don't think they did, but it's worth getting. Beyond that, we had a series of movie nights with Amanda that I wanted to talk about because we had some highs, some lows, some literally weird, and one that was just really, really bad. But we started this off by I introduced my wife, and thankfully my marriage is still good, to heavy metal. I had the 4K edition, and I did not realize I'd only ever seen a very, very edited version of it when I was younger. That is basically porn, kids. Like, you see everything.
Oh, wait till Heavy Metal 2000.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That's an acid trip right there.
Is it bad that I'm just completely unaffected by this?
I didn't say it was bad. I was just like, we're watching it and I'm looking at her going, oh, she's probably wondering what the hell is wrong with me.
Those movies remind me of like the Ralph Bakshi era. So I'm just like, those were always very weird animated.
Yeah, I love the experimentation, the different art styles and so forth. I did not realize until I watched the special on there that this was done by Ivan Reitman, the same guy that did Ghostbusters. He did this like 3 years prior in 1981. So that was a cool little surprise I just was not aware of before. So thankfully that went well. She's like, yeah, that was weird as shit, but we're good. She at least entertained it. She did make a joke, though, that, you know, maybe they just saved money on animation by just not drawing the clothes on the women. Maybe that just saved time. I don't know. After that, we watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
True story.
About halfway through it, it finally clicked to me of what they did. I expected it to be like a funny, actual story of his life. And immediately it's going so weird. So the beauty of this is Weird Al made a parody movie of biographical movies. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. And it is so good. We were laughing the entire time.
Won a ton of awards too. I was happy for that.
Deservedly.
It is
I was
still
in tears.
free to watch on Roku, I think. So.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I said screw it and we got the 4K of it. I was like, I want to watch this. I want to have it in the collection, and I'm glad I did. So that was a plus. I kind of wish Chris was here because after his comment last week, which I did send the clip of that to Weird Al, no idea if he ever watched it, but it's out there, Chris. Who knows? Weird Al may hear your plea for adoption. The next night, we ended up deciding to do a double feature. And it was between This Means War, which is the one with Reese Witherspoon, Chris Pine, and Tom Hardy, which, yeah, not the best movie in the world, but it was actually pretty well done and funny.
So like Reese Witherspoon has to pick between Kirk and Venom?
Exactly. It's two CIA agents, I think, that were using all of their stuff to, like, they were spying on her, doing all this stuff as they competed to try and date her. It's like one of those stupid movies. But then we're like, well, we'll try this one afterwards, which is called Night and Day, which is Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. Don't watch this. It is hot garbage.
I could have told you that.
Oh my God. It was, yeah. Well, I didn't know. I hadn't seen it before. It is some of the worst green screen I have ever seen. Like, it popped up and you're just like, this.
What year did it come out?
I think this one was like 2010. One of them was 2010. The other was 2012.
And who's the production company?
I don't know. 20th Century Fox.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got Amanda joked that they must have spent the entire budget on Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, and that's why their special effects sucked ass. So skip that one. But if you just want a funny, romantic comedy type action thing, watch This Means War. It was much better. Between the two of them. That's my thing. And then lastly, I watched Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1. I watched that one by myself last night because I'm giving DC Animation another chance. And so far, this has been a good one. I am saying I am quite happy with Jensen Ackles' actual role that he is voicing Batman. And I like it. He did a good job. Which is not the first time he's been involved in that, because before he was Red Hood, which I thought he did a really good job with as well. So,
and he's dressed up as Red Hood too. It was awesome. So
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of threw me off because I was like, okay, cool. He did a really good job as Red Hood, but then to have him turn and get the role of Batman itself, I was like, okay. Like,
and secretly the spirit of Dean Winchester that occupies his body is very pleased. So
yeah, he sounds more like Dean as Batman. And of course, he kind of lightens his voice a bit more when he's Bruce. Of course, you hear him talking with other superheroes as Bruce, and he just kind of goes into the Batman tone because he's not giving a damn. Not like job wise, just he's, Bruce doesn't have to sell himself.
No, when that movie came out, I got a lot of messages from friends and goes, I really like him as Batman. And I go, yeah, isn't it sad that we didn't get him as the Batman cameo in Gotham Knights? Maybe the show would have been renewed, but I don't know. So
yeah, I don't know. Talking about the CW stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of closed that out. I'm glad we got Conroy in there for part of it. I mean, he deserved to be. He had fun playing an evil Batman in live action. Like, he thought that was great.
Oh, so, that was in what's the other one?
That was their version of Crisis they did between like the Flash and all those.
That was before Gotham Knights. Yeah, right before all
that's
that.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So definitely happy with it. I keep hearing there's going to be 3 parts to this, so I'm waiting for the other 2 to come out. But it's a step in the right direction. I'm really enjoying it. They're making a nice version of this. The first movie is a little confusing because it's a lot of time jumping because you're dealing with the Flash.
I will say that I think a lot of live action DC stuff is a little cursed.
Yeah.
especially if it was made after a certain year. So like the with Arrow and Flash and Supergirl, that kind of hit the sweet spot, with people still being really like into that, and the storytelling being weird but good, and products of its time. But then of course nowadays, production companies and networks are not wanting to commit to longer seasoned shows because it's too much of a financial risk to them, because everybody is so profit like focused as opposed to quality focused. So that's why I really like what a lot of the like DC is now doing with their animation. They're doing a really great job with the movies that come out, with the Harley Quinn series, all of that. So
great series.
Well, the problem I had for a little while, and I think we talked about this before, is I don't know who was in charge of it, but they were like, we're going to take these really great stories, like some of my favorite Batman stories, like Hush and Gotham by Gaslight, and instead of interpreting it, like making a version for movies, of which I understand some changes have to be made, we're going to completely bastardize it so we can be like, oh, this is new and original. Like we'll take, Gordon from one of these and make him the murderer when he had nothing to do with that part. And you're like, what the crap are you doing? Like, that would be the equivalent of what if they made, let's just say, just what was it? The Winchesters, Supernatural. If they made an animated version of that and decided to make, Dean be this evil thing from the very beginning that killed people and did all this stuff, like completely just bastardized the whole story.
Well, there was an anime Supernatural that they did a season of. So,
well, I'm just, yeah. But just to take that and, change the whole thing in a way, you're just like, this is not even an interpretation.
That's
like,
why a lot of
it just to do it.
That's why a lot of like reboot stuff for older shows genuinely terrifies me unless I know exactly who the showrunner is. So yeah. So
I think like Battlestar Galactica pulled it off really well. They rebooted it, but they did a great version of it without really messing with everything.
And that a lot of the sci-fi stuff that was coming out around that time was when it was in what I call the sci-fi sweet spot. Because they had, Haven was going on, and that was awesome, weird but awesome. They had, Warehouse 13, they had Eureka, all of that Eureka was kind of so good. Same. I mean, there was actors that were in Battlestar Galactica that was in Eureka, the scientist dude.
Back when Sci-Fi Channel actually did good sci-fi.
I mean, and there is some stuff that is good on Sci-Fi. For one, Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk. That's good.
Hilarious. Yes. They've gotten back to some good stuff, but for a while it was like, what the hell, guys?
But yeah, I'm trying to get back into like watching more movies myself and just enjoying stuff that's coming out, or coming out soon. So,
well, apparently we'll be hearing about me getting a bunch of new Star Trek here soon because Amanda ordered me an entire Picard set. So yay!
Yes.
All right, Steven. I know we've already talked a little bit about your Helldivers 2, but what else have you been up to?
But yeah, there's been tons of Helldivers 2.
For democracy!
Yesterday was interesting because President's Day weekend really overloaded the servers to the point where we were all level 0, and then we were our levels, and then we were level 0, and then none of the gold, or let's call it what it is, gold and experience, did not accumulate at all.
How does servers being crowded and jacked up relate to levels?
All of our saves are stored on their server because you can go back and forth between them. I think
accumulated, so our levels weren't ever going to go up. So they would first say, "Oh, you're 0," and then it'd be like, "Oh yeah, we found you."
It's like, I took a photo just to see like what level, what am my experience at? And after a couple rounds, it had not gone up 1 point.
Yeah, so I was like, let's just play a few more rounds. I did want to add when we were talking about voices. Have you played a good amount of Persona 3 Reload, Rachel?
What? Have I played a good amount? No, not at all.
Have you at least gotten to Igor?
Who?
Guy with the big nose, Velvet Room.
Oh yeah,
I know who that is.
I mean, yeah.
When I first heard his voice, I was like, there's something there, and I've heard it before. Probably in a game I've played before. And Chris was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I'm gonna look up who he is. He's Kirk Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
He's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I heard it. Chaos Control himself.
Like literally. So I when you said this, like there's something I heard there, and in my brain, all I hear is "All hail Shadow."
Like there's a bunch of thing about the Sonic 3 movie right now, because now that Shadow's confirmed, except for the voice, but they also hired the girl to be Maria. There's the Sonic fandom that knows what's going to happen, and then there's the unsuspecting rest of them that are going to be like, "Oh my god!"
So
I've already had that spoiled for me.
So I'll have to send you a TikTok that I found that it's like oh god, I'm gonna have to find it. I laughed so hard. I posted it on my Instagram story, and it's like the rest of everybody watching Sonic 3 watching this little, like, this young girl get, murdered by a firearm right in front of their eyes, like then the rest of the Sonic fandom just dancing to the like Shadow the Hedgehog theme.
Just be very careful what you search for, because it will literally encompass your algorithm.
Oh yeah, I know.
I gave you guys those sound alikes for Has Been Hotel, and I've been inundated with live performances, cast talking to each other, and just like, I was like, no, I want other stuff. Where's my kittens?
Like, I will tell you though, God, some of the voice actors on Has Been, Amir Talal, the guy who voices Alastor, insane. Like he cray. I love him. He's like, I can't believe I already have a song from season 2 stuck in my head and I can't tell anyone about it. And I'm like, oh, you dick.
Well, somebody pointed out that Poison was like number 2 on the Billboard Hot 200 too. So
and then I think Loser was like number 1 for a little bit. What was the other thing? Speaking of the Sonic thing, because I wanted to mention this while you were talking about it. The funniest thing that I have seen so far when they have posted like casting announcements was the picture of the girl who's playing Maria, because you see her name Maria on the back of the like chair. That's how they do announcements. And she's in a hoodie backwards, covering her face. And the best comment on that was, "Oh, and she's already in a body bag." And I was like, oh.
Holy shit.
Like the Sonic fandom is going absolutely wild, and I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Is people are just people who love Sonic and played these games growing up or watched Sonic X like are
wild,
are going absolutely insane. And it's delightful.
Have you ever Googled your name, the Hedgehog?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody's name is on the internet. If you type in your first name, the Hedgehog, somebody made it. Somebody made fan art of
There was a time back live on the old internet days where there was literally a Sonic the Hedgehog generator.
Because I had to switch from Google because they've been messing with stuff, so I have Bing on there. I literally searched Jeremy the Hedgehog, and the very first thing that popped up, Ron Jeremy Wikipedia with this picture. And I'm
you have to do an image
jump
search.
scare.
That's the important part.
I don't know if I want to do an image search if that's what it's doing.
Okay, so mine is pretty.
Jeremy the Hedgehog pops up. That's not how you draw a star.
Mine is weird. My top 2 ones are really pretty. It's either kind of like Amy, but she's got black hair with red stripes, or the one she kind of looks like the God, it's like a
I just put it in the podcast chat on our Discord.
Sally, you know who I'm talking about.
Mine looks like if a Persona protagonist was a hedgehog, so it's got like a jacket and goggles.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No, mine's pretty cool, not gonna lie. But back in the day, when I was really into like Sonic and the comics and all of that, there was literally like a Java powered like Newgrounds type thing where you could like make your own hedgehog like Sonic Persona thing. Like not even remotely kidding.
Be gone.
God.
But other than that scary stuff,
we went off on a tangent.
Last week it ended Sunday night but last weekend was Steam Next Fest, where you could look through, I don't know, like 600 demos that people were just like, please play, please try out, please check them out. So first one I checked out, which might be up Rachel's alley because I'm going to say certain keywords here. It's called Duck Detective: The Secret Salami.
That's been on my wish list actually for ages.
Because when I played it, although it was kind of simple, the demo part, it was very well voice acted, and it reminded me a little bit of Miles Edgeworth because of the taking the words and placing them where they need to be like, this makes sense.
Literally, my one dream for Capcom is just for them to put that game up there. Both of them. Please, Capcom, if you hear me.
I tried Berserk Boy, which was pretty good. It was kind of Mega Man-ish, easy to play. Art style is you either love it or you hate it, but it was very well pixel art, very well done. Then there was Pepper Grinder, which is Devolver Digital, which they always put gameplay first.
Explain to me what the game is, because just by the title, I'm like, it's a pepper grinder simulator, putting pepper on food.
Pepper Grinder is if you took Drill Dozer from Nintendo and Celeste and you shoved them together, that's what you get. So you get a beautifully told story with some like funny little elements, but you get this engaging gameplay where you have to drill in order to get through the level because you're kind of like drilling through dirt and then flying through the air. So it was very Celeste for me because I was like, there's a lot of maneuvering, like maneuver this certain way to get these coins or special items. And I was like, cool. I really enjoyed it. And then it was just like, stop, game's not out yet. I was like, dang. So
I'm going to have to look into that one.
But then it went downhill from there because I played Backpack Battles.
That just doesn't sound fun.
And from the video, I was like, oh, this looks like Backpack Hero. You basically put items that look like they're ripped, asset almost, allegedly, I'm gonna say, from Backpack Hero. You put them in your inventory, and then you just click play, and it connects you with a random person on the internet, and it auto battles. So you don't really get any control other than just putting stuff in your inventory. And when you lose, you just do it again. And I was like, this is like either play to win or just like keep playing to win and get stronger. And I was like, there's no meat and potatoes here. There's no story. There's no, why am I playing this other than just putting stuff in my inventory and see if I win?
Yeah, that sounds like people are just going to figure out the meta behind it once they know the pattern of what wins.
Going for it, the art style and everything, and I was just, and even the music was, kind of endearing. But I was, you can't compare to Backpack Hero. Sorry.
Fair enough. All right, and lastly, Rachel, what have you been up to? Which I'm seeing part of that I'm going to have to jump in and talk about.
Okay, so mostly Jack Squat. I haven't really been playing. I'm very busy at work. By the time I get home, I just want to like pull up my phone, watch stupid videos, or read. Been doing a lot of reading. I'm about this much way through the book I'm reading. Nice. I finished another book earlier this week, actually, that I had mostly read in December, but then didn't finish. So I read the last few chapters because my coworker wanted to borrow it, and he read it in one weekend, like in the weekend. I finished it last Friday, gave it to him to read over the weekend, and he was like, I'm already almost done with it. Rachel, oh my God, I love this book. So I've been doing a lot of reading and then giving other people books to read, which is,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not only a podcast dealer, but I'm a book dealer too. So what can I say? But no, mainly I've just been getting excited about things coming out soon because I just finished Has Been Hotel, so I'm running out of new stuff to watch. I've had some friends that are also running out of stuff to watch, so I've given them some stuff to watch that I had already watched and all that kind of stuff. I'm very excited for X-Men 97 coming out. That comes out on March 20th of next month.
Can't wait.
And of course, coming from someone who like grew up watching the original animated series incessantly and was obsessed with X-Men as a kid.
I saw the VHS tapes.
Big ol' thanks to my best friend Cassie, who also was the one that got me into Final Fantasy. So basically half of my interest as an adult, it's her fault. I love you, Cass. Yes, Steven?
I'm going to be that guy. I adore X-Men. It's one of the top theme songs of all time for cartoons. However, I am a little tentatively worried about the animation because back in the 80s or 90s, the animation was perfect. Sorry, 90s, the animation was perfect for even its time, but it seems like they've took a little bit of a step back if you notice some of the jumps in the trailer. So I don't know if it was hastily put together, or I don't even know if it was done by AI nowadays. But anyway,
I don't think it was hastily or done with that. I think they're just trying, because as the show went on, they changed production companies or animation studios, and it kind of downgraded on that last season. I think they're bringing it up from that, so it's not a
I
severe
don't.
jump.
maybe
They're kind of converting it to Jim
it's just
Lee's
that
style.
we're in current year here, and it's been how many decades?
Are
I
you
I
so
thought it
are
would have
you
a
referring to clips from the older show, or are you referring?
no. If you
Okay.
compare it to the older show and you compare like an episode where Juggernaut's in it, he's very well animated and the action is very well done in terms of the fluidity. And some of that seemed lost in the trailer. So I was like, you know what? No, it's just a trailer. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. The other thing that, because we've been talking about voices this entire section,
Mm-hmm.
is out of all the lines, I was just like, that was probably the weakest delivered line by Wolverine. And I was just like, anything else you could have said, but it didn't sound like he aged well. And I know it's the original voice actor, because
Mm-hmm.
the other voice actors, except for Cyclops, rest in peace, Norm Spencer, and, other than him,
No.
other
Cyclops
than
is
him, I was just like, come on, Wolverine, you can do better than that.
so from my understanding, there are some OG voice actors that didn't come
Yeah.
back. One being the voice of my favorite Gambit. But the guy who they got to be him is a very good impressionist. I
Right.
might have like doom scrolled through his Instagram and learned that he's a big old millennial nerd like myself. And I can tell that he was a big X-Men fan growing up. So like I'm hopeful for his performance as Gambit. And we'll see how that goes, because Gambit's my fave. So me being as obsessed with X-Men as I was when I was a child, I checked out the book, because there was a book. I think it was like the DK like Legends series that had all of the
Yeah.
X-Men characters in it and all of their
Mm-hmm.
backstories. It was like an encyclopedia of X-Men. So I like memorized that thing. Basically,
Trying
it
to
was
see if I have that here.
my Marvel Bible, essentially. And I was like going through the trailer with a fine tooth comb, and there was a detail I noticed of they're all dressed in like normal clothes, but then the lady who's standing next to Cyclops, who looks like Jean Grey, she's pregnant in the photo.
Yep.
And if you know your X-Men history, Jean Grey never had kids unless it was in a weird other Earth thing. It did not happen. So that is not Jean Grey.
She technically had one. The clone had one.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about not technically. Actual Jean Grey never did, but the clone did. So that
Actual one
clone,
had Rachel,
yes, but
and then the clone is the one that had Cable.
yes. But my point is it's she didn't actually have a kid. She had a clone. She never did the thing. Yeah.
That's
Well, in the
why,
comic she did,
if you
but
go into the IMDb, you're going to
Mhm,
further
mhm.
confuse yourself,
Yeah.
because it'll be like original voice actor as Gambit, new voice actor as Gambit,
Yeah.
old Jean Grey, Jennifer Hale as Jean Grey,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
right.
what?
So, but I was sitting here going, I was like, that don't make sense. And I said, oh, wait, that's got to be the clone, which means that baby's Cable. Like, literally, my brain was doing that number. So, like, it was
But
just really funny, like, noticing that. And then I sent, of course, the trailer to my friend Cassie, and I was like, watch it, analyze, discuss.
because my
But,
wife watched all the episodes whenever she came home from school. I watched the episodes whenever they were on. I'm
mhm.
glad they're all on Disney Plus to watch. Hopefully, they're not changed
Mhm.
in any way.
I don't know. I know that there was a lot of the Spider-Man episodes missing, but I don't think that there's any of the X-Men ones missing. At least
I
not.
think
And
I think most
I
of them are
showed
there.
her. I
Yeah.
showed her. Most people's like. There's some great lines in there, but I showed my wife the Juggernaut line that always made me laugh. Um, and it's the episode where they're going after Juggernaut, and it's just Jubilee and Wolverine,
Yeah.
and Wolverine gets trounced, and he's being held, and he's like, "Jubilee, don't attack him." And Juggernaut's just like, "What's she gonna do? Hit me with her diaper?"
The I think the funniest part from the trailer, and after it premiered and like I posted the link in this other Discord server I'm in, I was like, is anyone else as excited about this as I am? And the funniest part in the trailer is literally when Gambit is like riding Wolverine into battle, jumps on his back,
special.
like jumps on his back, like piggyback, and I'm sitting here going, what is happening? And then like you see Wolverine do this and his claws come out and then his claws glow pink. And so my friend is sitting here him. Yeah, I know, but my friend is sitting there and going, this doesn't make sense to me because logically his claws should explode, which so should his hands.
No, he charges stuff all the time that doesn't explode. He does his staff and stuff like that.
Yes, I know that.
Well, okay.
But
you know what I thought of, which I will lose my shit if they do, is if after Gambit does that, if he does his special from the arcade game where basically the waves come out of his claws, I will lose it. Yeah, and I'll be like, this needs to be in comics.
Maybe those waves will explode. But I just thought it was really funny, and I was like, I did not have Gambit piggybacking on Wolverine's back on my bucket list, or on my bingo card for this year. Did anyone else?
We're gonna ship them together, Gamberine.
Yeah, not that one before, but like I said, like because a lot of that stuff, like the pregnant Jean Grey, wasn't too much of a surprise because that does happen. It wasn't Madeline Pryor because they haven't really shown her too much, except for that would have been back during the Mr. Sinister stuff. And then, so with Bishop being here, everyone's like, okay, that's kind of interesting because him showing back up is usually like, hey, time is screwed up again. I'm here to try and change things, which him and Cable going back and forth was always hilarious to me because that's like, if the Terminator had two people come back and they're just like fighting with each other, just like, stop it. No, I'm going to fix time. No, I'm going to fix time.
No, my favorite characters from X-Men have always been Gambit, Rogue, Nightcrawler, and
version of Nightcrawler on there.
Mystique. Those are like my top 4. And then I guess Magneto's in the top 5. But I'm Cyclops is okay. Jean Grey's okay. I liked them more in X-Men Evolution just because it was fun. But
Cyclops and Beast were some of my favorite ones from back then. I did like how they did Colossus as well. He was always good back in the animated version of that back in the 90s.
But yeah, it was just so I have not been like, there's been a lot of good animated shows coming out recently, so much so that I find myself not wanting to watch like actual TV. So that was nice.
Well, the other fun thing is there's a lot of evidence and being shown because we're getting, of course, we know we had all the Deadpool stuff that's been popping up, but all the references to X-Men or mutants in the Marvel movies have been associated with the animated series, not live action, not as much. So there's a good chance this may be the universe they're kind of pulling from for stuff coming up, which would be great. Because like seeing Charles Xavier in that hover chair from there and Beast when he showed up in the movie, which I'm not going to spoil for people, but he's in the round glasses, only wearing the white, lab coat.
I know what movie you're referring to, and I do intend to watch it because it's on streaming now. But I feel that I have to finish watching a different TV series first that I did not finish watching because I didn't like the girl in it because she's a child and is behaving childishly. So, yes.
That's kind of the point.
I know. And that's why it annoyed me. So,
because even in the comics, that's how she's kind of how she.
I know. I know that, but that doesn't make me any less annoyed. So, I'm very picky with my TV, but we'll see. I might be able to look past it.
You should. I thought the show was really good.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Anything else?
No. Like I said, Jack Squat.
Okay. I thought you had your Minecraft.
I suppose I should talk about that.
I'll let you complain.
Yeah. So I got Minecraft because there's some world packs that I was interested in. I won't really talk about those because I didn't do much in them. But my installation experience was a little wild, right? So I'm just like, I just want to download Minecraft, And then they're like, oh, no, you can't just download Minecraft. You have to download the launcher. And then you have to download, then you have to figure out which version of Minecraft you want. And there's so many different versions of Minecraft. And then in order to play these certain things, you have to make sure you get the correct version. So I was like, oh my God. And then every time I tried to download this certain world thing, it wouldn't take me to the correct thing because it couldn't just boot up the marketplace. I had to launch the game first to then look for it in the marketplace, which then I had to search for manually. I was like, why does it feel like I'm breaking into Fort Knox to download this? And I'm like, what is with these games now and having to use all these launchers? I sound like an old lady right now, but
Minecraft.
I remember when you would just click the icon and it would play, or you would just put the disc in your disk drive and it would launch. I need a disk drive for this PC so I could play some of these old games that I have over here, and then also get some old computer games and figure out how to get them to run on Windows 10. So
yeah, for Minecraft, it kind of makes sense why it's a little more complicated, because I think that is the highest selling game of all time, but it branches into so many versions because you got the older Java one, educational and so forth, but then they got Bedrock, which they made to actually be compatible between things. It's actually what we run our server on and so forth, and can cross play and all that. So it's kind of like once you stick with one, it tends to go a little bit easier, but yeah, their marketplace is confusing no matter what you do. I will give you that one for sure.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening? But because of the edition that I got, it gave me it included you can basically get one world or whatever for free. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get the one I want. But then I was like, I also want this one. So I ended up, I think, spending a total of maybe $35, which wasn't bad.
Yeah, I ended up, because you were saying you were having problems, and I ended up buying the one you were talking about also. I was like, yeah, I'll play it later. So I've got that.
It's fun. We'll talk about the
I got
one
into the very beginning, and I like the movie posters.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it off the stream, off the show though. So,
and the cool thing is we can experience most of these multiplayer. So even ones you don't have, I've got the Sonic the Hedgehog one, which was surprisingly great.
Okay.
And yes, you can be Shadow.
All hail Shadow.
But you can actually run through the world. They made a Minecraft level that you can run, do loops, all that stuff. And I was like, this is impressive.
We're gonna play. Can we do that after the show?
Sure. Yeah, we it's on the Bedrock version, but we can do that.
I have that's the one I got.
Yeah. Well, you got both. You said Bedrock and Java, which is great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a bunch of things you can do. I need to get the Jurassic Park one too. That just looks fun. All right, so let us jump into the news. So this has been the week of a lot of financial reports. We've heard lots of things for how sales are going. And starting off with this, we've got Sony, who have finally made their highlights. And just a few bits from that, they ended up having to cut their sales forecast from 25 million to 21 million for this fiscal year ending in March. And I think they said their sales will be slowing between April of 2024 and March of 2025. They also trimmed their forecast for the entire gaming division itself by a whole 210 billion yen, which is about $1.4 billion. I did a quick Google Math calculation. Sony Senior Vice President Naomi Matsuoka, I apologize if I mispronounced that, they stated, quote, looking ahead, PS5 will enter the later stage of its life cycle. As such, we will put more emphasis on the balance between profitability and sales. For this reason, we expect the annual sales pace of PS5 hardware will start falling from the next fiscal year. So
that's about right in its life cycle if they're tracking how PS4 did, and PS4 is still selling. But
here's the thing, though, with PS4 3 years in, you had 3 years of it selling. PS5 had the first 2 years very difficult to find. Not that many games have been made for it. It feels kind of like, and this is true for Series X, PS5, and stuff like that, where it's they haven't really done that much that has not been specifically for this hardware that wasn't on the old stuff.
Right now, how many years in now for PS5?
3.
There are of games that are on no other system. I'm going to say right now. There are more games for your Wii U, and your Virtual Boy than there is for PS5. And it hurts that they said their first party games, they're not going to announce anything until next year.
Yeah.
So like, I hope you got some bangers this year from other parties.
I will say, I think a lot of the sales bit at the beginning, and this was for Xbox too, it wasn't entirely their fault because, you know, there was pandemic stuff going on. There was all kinds of things that really influenced like manufacturing and also like shipping and so much stuff. And they weren't the only ones affected. So some of the things at the very beginning of its life cycle wasn't really their fault. And this is also
oh, sorry, go ahead.
And this applies to not just them, but to Microsoft too. Like some of the pitfalls I think at the very beginning is like they couldn't run out the gate. They kind of stumbled. Like
right.
And it was because there was mud on the track. Like
but the problem with that though is if that's the case, like yeah, this had a rough start, but they're already saying they're already halfway through the life. They're starting to wind it down to look towards new hardware. They haven't even really given much for this one. Imagine people that also bought this and spent all that money on the PlayStation VR 2, which cost even more than the console. And now they're hearing, well, it's already very limited support. And now we're going to start winding it down towards the next one. We have no first party games coming out for the next year and like 2 months. And it's like Sony tried to push a bunch of stuff and they couldn't keep it going. Which is going to be kind of interesting. And I think both of them are kind of cutting this one short. Like the PS4, or even back in like PS3 360, that was kind of the longer extension. Like they had that time period. I think they're rushing to the next one too soon on both sides of it, honestly.
Well, you know, it's one of those things that technology is as technology does. It's very, very quickly growing. There's new stuff coming out all the time. There's new developments all the time. It's like science. It doesn't stop. Technology does not stop. Neither does science. It's going to keep growing. And in order for them to keep up with the times, they have to make some decisions that people aren't going to like. And that's just the nature of the business. I hate saying that. I feel like I'm at work when I say that.
This feels like they're doing to the PS5 what they did to the Vita. We're going to go look towards new hardware. Yeah. We're going to drop support for this one. And it's like, why would people keep diving into this? Like,
well, I will say they haven't dropped support for the PS4
So why are they already talking about dropping the PS5 though is the thing?
Because I think they did with the PS5 what they did with the Vita. They made some decisions that no, it's not. They made some decisions that they should not have. I mean, it's just it is what it is. Like I know I'm a big, you know me, I'm a big Sony proponent. I love Sony. I'm a Sony girl. I'm looking right now, PS2, PS3, PS4, and then my PS5 right over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have all these consoles. But I can acknowledge when they've done something dumb. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I can't stop them, even if I'm disappointed. Like, and I know some people might sound surprised, people who listen, but being like, oh my God, Rachel's ripping on Sony. I'm like, yeah, like, but I'm not surprised. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
You kind of sound like you're giving them more of a pass, though.
I am giving them a pass because it is what it is. Like, am I disappointed? I'm not really affected by it because I bought this console for Final Fantasy. Like, they've already committed to putting the rest of the remake saga on the PS5. Like, it'll probably be the last game that comes out on the PS5. Like the last big one.
2030? Yeah.
Yeah. So
have to see. Steven, what were you gonna say?
2 words.
Mm-hmm.
PS5 Pro. It's not a if, it's a when. And it's probably gonna be next year.
I can see them doing that, actually. Because they did it with the PS4. I'm looking at my PS4 Pro right now.
The more variations you have, the more shelf space you're gonna get.
Yeah. I'm looking at my PS4 Pro right now, the Kingdom Hearts edition. Like,
and a lot of people might even drop their PS5s for the PS5 Pro, and then there'll be a giant used market, and then those will get bought up, and then there'll just be more players. So it's
everyone
we're gonna go
wins.
through the same song and dance again. I don't know if PS5 will match up because of what happened in the beginning to PS4. With the PS5 having to deal with supply issues, the pandemic, all that horrible stuff. So I don't know if they can come back to that and get the same level of success they got with PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like an underutilization of their own hardware. Like they're not like we're buying the hardware is what they're trying to sell, but they're not really putting as much on it. So it just feels kind of underdone.
I hope
my concern. And if they're already jumping to new hardware, they're going to end up pulling a Sega, not of the going third party, but like where they were like, oh, you get the Genesis. Oh, we're going to do the 32X. Oh, no. We're going to have the CD. Oh, no. We're going to do the Saturn.
I don't think they're going to go that far. But
that's an extreme, but it's at some point you're pushing it with that.
Also, I like, what's the word for it? I'm trying to think. Come back to me. I had a thought and then it just flew out of my head.
Well, the other thing, Sony president Hiroki Totaki, once again, bad about this, sorry, says he wants to go aggressive in improving margins by growing first party with multi-platform. Quote, in the past, we wanted to popularize console and the first party titles. Main purpose was to make the console popular. It is true, but there is a synergy to it. So if you have strong first party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first party can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profit to improve. So that is another one we want to practically work on.
Yeah. So he gets it. I bet he also likes timed exclusivity.
They put their year exclusives on there, but you're gonna see Spider-Man 2 on PC. You're gonna see they already said you're gonna see Rebirth in another year on PC. Yeah. Maybe sooner if they get
not even another year. Their date for another platform is only like 3 months.
Well, that's their tentative date. That might not actually be the actual date.
You don't get that specific on a trailer when you announce it. Not saying it'll go somewhere later, but specifically like
surprisingly though, if you can believe it, people are so entranced by this generation and what's possible for graphics that they actually had to patch the Rebirth demo because people were complaining that it didn't look good enough, that it didn't live up to its hype of resolution and performance. So they had
to
increase the performance on it because people are like, "Where's my PS5 Pro?" Because you can't even run Final Fantasy Rebirth on it.
Well, here's the fun thing, and I think Jeremy, I think it was you that made this comment when this was being talked about, where you can make a game look bad if you look hard enough.
Oh yeah, you can always find a problem.
I'm just saying, like, there's been times where I've played an absolutely beautiful game and I went up to a wall to look at something, and then I turned the camera and I could the eyeballs were like this, like it's it's just. It's just sometimes the shadows are weird, man. And here's the thing.
People being able to just have fun with a damn game.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Finding problems in a game when it's in the demo is actually very useful for the developer. People might be thinking, oh man, they're just totally ragging on this game and it's not even out yet. It's like, well, good, because if they're finding issues for stuff right now before it's launched, you know what that developer's going to do? They're going to take that little video clip, they're going to pinpoint exactly where it is, and they're going to do a patch for it. They're going to figure it out. It's actually very helpful. Not insulting at all. It's actually a good thing when that happens. So
it's a little close to release, but I mean, even then people were honestly getting nitpicky. Like, come on. This is not game breaking. It's not some major thing. Like, okay, your PS5 is going to be whatever amount of RAM, so this texture may not be as crisp as you want it. If you're that picky, go spend $2,000-$3,000 on that big computer to get the highest end graphics. Consoles are just meant for put it in, play it, and enjoy it. Yeah. Like, you will get a good experience if you just calm that shit down.
And I think a lot of people that complain about things and they about not just the games in general when this kind of stuff happens, but also when people do this for consoles and how they run and stuff like that. I find that a lot of the people that are super vocal and complaining that aren't able to give precise details or aren't able to talk with an educated voice, they're just trying to stir up trouble.
I think a lot of it's also come down, and I'm not putting the blame on them, but Digital Foundry has become a big thing for people. Not because I do like the technical view they have on stuff, and whether you think they're skewing one way or the other is beside the point. They're looking at it pretty well technical for things, but people they get so nitty gritty about stuff that people will take that as like, oh, well, your system is trash because this was a little bit lower frame rate or the ray tracing was a little bit different. And it's one thing if you're looking at comparisons for, for stuff, but a lot of people use that as like ammo for the arguments. And it's like, you're not taking it as an academic
I remember
thing.
The Assassin's Creed Valhalla discourse.
Oh God.
Where they had to make a second video saying now that the patch is out, the previous problems are pretty much gone. And then it's like, this is how it compares. And so, because people are like, you're not doing your due diligence. It's like,
just because you're a gamer does not necessarily mean you're an expert on like that kind of stuff. And Agreed. I think a lot of people think that they are just because they game a lot. And I'm just like, you didn't design the game. You're not working in the industry. You're just playing it. Like
I love, what was it? All the stuff for like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
Oh, dude.
They were showing the back and forth, and those are great. Like they did a really good job with those. But then for fun, they took a look at the Switch releases. And even they agree, like, these are amazing ports. Like, these should not be working as well as they do. But people were just flipping their crap on it, going, oh, well, it's only at 30 FPS, or it's only at this resolution. It's like, yeah, and you can take it and walk away with it. Like, people don't ever pay attention to the fun little things you can do with these. It's still enjoyable. If you can play a better one and you want it, go get it.
Yeah, like, I will say, I'm just like, console wars, it's interesting, man.
It's a social construct.
It's a social construct. It is. It's just for likes and clicks and
thank you, Phil Spencer.
And views. It is. It's for views, man.
The console wars, like the joke about it for the term is one thing. People take it to a point, and we'll talk about this in a little bit as well, where you can have discourse about things, you can have preferences and so forth, but some people take it to an extreme that just, come on, calm down, people.
In our next story, though, I'm really interested I'm going to ask, because I have a feeling whoever wrote this, I'm going to ask a question. You already know.
Okay, so let's go into the next one then. So we also have, continuing our financials discussion, Bandai Namco released theirs. Steven, I know you were wanting to talk about this one more, so I'm going to let you cover this one. Go for it.
So keeping the trend that they're losing money on things. So Bandai Namco also announced that their general profits are down year on year from 84 billion yen to 60 billion yen. They are kind of changing how they want to develop and what they're focusing on. So they did cancel 5 titles that were in development.
What
is my guess that probably 4 of those were anime titles. That
what type do we know?
No, I have no idea.
But if I had to guess, they're probably based on 4 animes and they're throwaway titles, because I got worried when Bandai just kept releasing whatever the hot anime was. Here's a fighting game based on our Naruto engine, and I was like, stop doing that.
Yeah. So every time, because I know that they're just the birther of anime fighting games. I'm just like, that seems like a waste of revenue. A waste of operational revenue, actually. Like, I mean, I don't know what kind of money. I don't know what kind of money they get contract wise from whoever the IP holder is for that anime. But they can't be creating those games at a profit. So unless they got a really, really good like contract from it.
I think a lot of it, because some of them were so similar. I think, like what Steven said, you joked about the Naruto engine and so forth, but I think they are using their existing engine. They're just kind of reskinning it, tweaking some stuff with that license. So they might make some money off of it, but that's still a lot of people you got to put towards it for testing.
But it's also like, it's gotta be boring for the IP holders to be like, oh yeah, this game is exactly like this game that they put out 4 years ago, except it's just got different voice actors, different skins, different
a lot of anime to me is that way.
Going by my
I know.
Released Naruto Ultimate Shippuden Generations Connections, and it's like, we have all the characters from every Naruto game. I was like, I wonder how you did that. You just did a collection.
So with like the Naruto ones though, I imagine those like them staying because those are kind of like their bread and butter titles, if that makes sense.
Those and Dragon
But it
Ball,
also shows like their formula is that they'll
Yeah.
just be like, here's the same engine with more, so it's cheaper to make, but it's just hurting them in the long run, as we're seeing. This
I
is
can't
just
say much. I'm
my
helping with
opinion of
that
why this is happening.
because I bought so many Tenkaichis.
Yeah. On the other end of the spectrum, though, Tekken 8 is their best selling or fastest selling Tekken in the series. It is going strong. They haven't even gone through even the first character of their roadmap, so excitement is high of what guest stars might show up. A lot of people are hoping for Tifa. We'll see what happens. They got Noctis last time.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
So there was excitement there. And
I got my little
interesting
magnetic
is that
fists.
people were worried about Elden Ring and their DLC. There is
Oh
new
yeah,
content.
I was on Twitter when that discourse started happening, by the way, and it was like two camps. Like, oh, the DLC is completely canceled. The one that was already basically done, it's canceled. And then the other people were like, no, it's not. There's been nothing official released. And then there was like funerals for the DLC that they didn't get.
So
And then I'm like,
the thing
wow,
is now
hold
it
on.
is coming.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
It
it's
is coming.
canceled.
It's just because they did have a transfer of ownership back in April.
Yeah.
That From Software fully owns Elden Ring. Bandai Namco can just use it now. So like
Right.
who's releasing it? Bandai Namco is still releasing it because that contract's already signed. Is we get the rights to release that for you, so we can do that. And it's really funny because both Sony and Tencent, one of our favorites, that I think is the better side of the companies,
Right.
bought a 20% stake in the company. So From Software is like, look at all this money. We're going to buy the rest of our rights away from Bandai Namco. So they fully own Elden Ring, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it gives them leeway for whatever they do next with it.
Yeah,
But,
I guarantee they're going to keep.
As we'll find out later,
supporting it.
there's two groups based outside of America, and Tencent, for me, I think is the nicer side. We'll hear the bad side later.
Oh,
So-
we will. Ugh.
When the games you were talking about like cancel it, I said, listen, as long as they're not the Tales of series, I'm okay.
Oh, don't worry. We'll go into some canceled titles. We got some.
Yeah.
You think 5 was a lot?
Yeah, we don't have the titles for all of them, but that is not the full amount.
Oh, I'm sure, but
so let's jump into the other fun discussion. All right, so Microsoft,
here's the meat of the show.
Yeah, Microsoft finally gave some answers and kind of brought up some new questions, but just the TLDR for this, on my perspective, because I know, yes, I was talking a lot about this when this was going on, and I still stand by what I said for the reasons behind a lot of it. But I was pretty happy with what they responded with, because for once, they actually communicated. That was my biggest problem. Is like Xbox is terrible about communicating about stuff, though they still had fun just kind of peppering in a couple. Wait, what did she just say? Like, what was that now? Hold on. So they held their podcast last week, Thursday, and they did say 4 titles will be going multi-platform, but they won't announce which ones they are yet, which people, oh my God, they lost their crap. And it's like, calm down. They made marketing agreements. You don't just break those.
Yeah.
Especially if Nintendo's involved. You don't mess with Nintendo's marketing.
No, there's very like it's really funny how people like normal laymen out there in the world don't understand contracts with IP holders and like that kind of thing. Like they don't get it. And I'm just like, guys,
we want to make the announcement. We want all the traffic to come to us, so you can't just say it, in a quick podcast, and people are just like, everybody watch the podcast and ignore whatever game's going or whatever system.
There are rules. There are like legal ramifications. So
they did not state what they are, but, and Rachel, I'm really sorry. I know you don't like this.
I don't like it.
They did specifically say Starfield and Indiana Jones are not included now. That doesn't break the future.
I was going to say, Rachel, there's hope, because he said, never give up hope, because he's like, as of right now.
I think that's kind of like the weird legally way they have to say it, because that's the same like, oh well, there's still hope that Final Fantasy VII is going to come to Xbox.
Saying wait 2 years.
listen, I don't care about Starfield. Starfield can stay on the Xbox. I really don't care.
You got really loud all of a sudden. Did you turn your mic up?
Yeah, I think I got wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indiana Jones.
I listen, okay. I just want to play Indiana Jones. That's all I want to play. That's it. That's what I want to play.
We may have to get you a Series S.
No.
But
I can wait.
Or smart TV and xCloud.
I can wait. I can wait till it comes out on whatever console I have. I'm a patient woman.
I would not hold your breath on that one. But the 4 that I think, and a lot of people kind of agree on this one, the 2 smaller titles, the regular ones, Hi-Fi Rush, we're already kind of aware of, probably going to Switch and PlayStation 5. Mm-hmm. And then Pentiment is another really good one. I could kind of see that going to the Switch. That's the only... How come, Steven? He thumbs down that.
That game is going to get so lost in the fold. There's.
I meant to play it. It looked really funny.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So
exactly.
It's a game you should look up. You probably find it interesting. Yeah,
I don't know. That game's going to get as much fanfare as DLC for a Bandai Namco game. Anyway.
And then the 2 games as a service titles, we already think one of them is going to be Sea of Thieves. And the other is probably going to be Grounded, both of which would be good to get more players into. So
I would 100% purchase both of them, especially if they were crossplay, because that means I could
they'd have to be.
That means I could play not only Grounded with my friends, but I could play Sea of Thieves with even more friends.
They did talk about Activision games are coming to Game Pass, not to Core, obviously, because that's just a basic one where they put a couple titles. I'm not surprised by that. That's like normal PlayStation Online is not getting all the PlayStation Plus Advanced stuff. So, but Diablo 4 is coming finally on March 28th. So that's cool.
I'm excited.
Hey, why not? And then just randomly in the middle of a statement, Sarah Bond was just like, hey, we're going to have a new hardware announcement this holiday. And everyone's like, what? Like he just stepped right over it and kept going. And everyone's like, wait a minute. And then and since quote, we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. What we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap we've ever seen in a hardware generation. And I'm going,
are they doing VR? Is that what they're doing? That sounds like a VR thing. I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
I have no idea. It's such a weird, vague
did this
statement.
Okay. Did this interview podcast thing take place before or after Sony's thing that we talked about earlier?
It was, I think, recorded before it, and then it came out Thursday. So,
okay, because you know how sometimes companies just drop things like that because somebody else dropped things like that,
right?
I don't know. That's the vibe I got. So,
I think part of it's because they were trying to respond to some of the rampant rumors and statements and stuff going on, which is why like Starfield and Indiana Jones were specifically mentioned, even though they couldn't mention the games. I think they're trying to let people know, hey, we are still doing hardware. And mind you, announcing a hardware announcement later this year could be the rumored, new controller that people were talking about. It doesn't have to be a new system itself, because they already did say they weren't doing a normal, like an Xbox One X, like a mid-gen type thing, because they were still working with the Series X. Can they go back on that? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be a little annoyed, but whatever. Just like with the PS5, I'm like, just do stuff with the hardware you have, guys. Come on, there's still so much crap you haven't done yet. But I don't know. It could be that the all digital Series X that was rumored during the FTC case. We don't know. It's portable. The portable. I don't think, like, a lot of people want them to do a portable, but they've specifically talked about that they're aware Windows on stuff like the Legion Go and the ROG Ally works, but they need to refine it and give it more usability on a more portable setup, because the touchscreen controls suck. Like I love playing on my Legion Go, I really do, but I have to give up that ease of use from a Steam Deck, because it does feel like a true handheld and a console and stuff, to get such a wide berth of compatibility that I have. So it's, if they can give me that better interface, I would play my Legion Go even more than my Steam Deck. So I'm kind of hoping like because there's already so many out in the market. Like what good would it do Microsoft to make their own if there's already so many good ones already out there that people are already investing in now? You know, that's just kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any other stuff about the Microsoft announcement? Now we've kind of got some clarification ish.
I still think it's going with what I said with Sony is Xbox is beating them to the punch with their mid refresh. I know that other thing leaked and he said it was all old, so the fat Apple looking thing is done. So
that was so weird.
If it's not some weird kind of portable like Cloud Machine, then it's just going to be a slight refresh. The rumor is that they're trying to beat PlayStation to the gate with that generational leap with their system, but I worry then as per usual, PS5 will be like, you put how many gigs of or how many? What's your speed? We'll make sure ours is higher when it comes out, so we can keep the home wars burning, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, because it's going to come down to even no matter they can do power. Like right now, the Series X on paper is more powerful, but if developers aren't taking advantage of it, what is the point? It kind of falls down to that because I love how people are like, oh, the Switch is holding everything back for all the games that are coming out. Well, yeah, you've also got stuff like they're building these to run on a Steam Deck, which is equivalent of basically a Series S, and that's going to be even more popular and easy to get for people. So games have to be scalable, and that's just modern gaming in itself.
Yeah.
If your engine can't run on a multitude of things, we're basically becoming computers in that same ideal. What generation graphics card do you have that you can still keep playing games? I was playing stuff on a 1070 Ti and I had to upgrade finally because I was getting to that point, and that's a good couple of years old, a couple generations back. So I don't know. We'll find out more. They talked about they're going to have a big showcase in June.
Yep.
Where they're going to show more of their games for the rest of the year, and that's probably where we'll get some of the hardware announcements and all that.
10 big titles, like first party titles coming. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that part I could see being a response to Sony's stuff if they heard it first, because Sony was going, hey, we don't have any new big games coming until April 2025 at the earliest. And then Microsoft can come out and say, hey, we have 10 coming out during this time. Because obviously, like you said, Rachel, they're going to be poking and prodding at each other, who can say what.
They do this on and off all throughout the years where they have simultaneous like console like generations going on.
Sony still had we'll call it the announcement ball kick for the PS4 launch. Like, here's how you share a game. I was like, they've never recovered from that.
I remember
that hurt so bad.
I remember when they did that, like I think I was at GameStop at the time, and I was sitting on the ground behind the counter because I was laughing so hard. And like one of our regulars came in and was like, "Where's Rachel?" And then I think it was
can't be mad about it. Microsoft set that up for the easy field goal.
Damo was like, "Oh, she's here."
Flip the switch and make these things happen, and the next day they flip the switch.
Oh yeah, no, they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and then they went to the hospital and figured it out. But like, it was. I wonder what they're going to do next, but I will say that they don't really have much opportunity to do those kind of mistakes anymore because there's not a big convention with live announcements anymore. So sad.
Yep. All right.
They actually have time to prepare.
No kidding. All right, moving on. Speaking of prepared, we did not get a Nintendo Direct like everybody swore up and down we would get, and I actually kind of wondered if we would.
It's Xbox's fault. That's why I got the
Yeah, everyone tries to blame Xbox on that, which I think
we're
is
getting
hilarious.
a partner showcase now instead.
We don't even know about that, but someone pointed
out busy.
On Valentine's Day, we kind of got what has been coined a Twitter Direct, because every hour on the hour for a couple of hours, Nintendo of America was tweeting out announcements and trailers and stuff that felt like a direct-ish. First off, we had the Final Princess Peach Showtime trailer, which showed off the Figure Skater Peach, Dashing Thief Peach, Mermaid Peach and Mighty Peach. Which Steven, I know you said before, like, hey, they're kind of showing a lot, like they should calm down.
Mongolian clean.
Right. I hope I didn't just ruin that for you. I'm sorry.
No, the internet already like posted that like 16 times, so I couldn't get away from the pictures. But I was like, I am not seeing that in motion, not until I get the game.
We're buying this twice in my household, anyways. I'm getting a physical copy, and Jennifer's getting a digital.
Get it from Best Buy so they get the acrylic stand.
Oh, okay. Might have to do that. Actually, I think we've already got it pre-ordered at GameStop up here. But either way, Jen wants to play it. She's excited. Then a little bit later, they had a Valentine's Super Mario RPG thing about like rescuing the princess and, you know, all the characters kissing because there's some hilarious moments. Then an hour later, they had some stuff about mini Marios from the Mario versus Donkey Kong game. They had some really adorable stop motion stuff. I need to get my copy. I still argue if they were continuing to make amiibos, they should have made a little mini Mario. I would have loved it. Then they had their trailer for Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 Remastered, which I hope that gets a physical copy. I'd like to get it. Go ahead, Steven.
I know you don't like to hear their name evoked that often.
Okay.
But Digital Foundry did a thing on it.
Oh, I don't mind them.
And it runs perfectly 60 on everything. And much to some people's chagrin, if you seamlessly, there's a button to switch between classic and remastered.
Which I love.
When you switch to classic, the original's 30 frames per second is maintained. It's not 60.
Yeah, they think that might be patched as an option one day, but
I hope not, because you know, it made it sound like everything is just flawless, even on Switch. It's like it's got the Prince of Persia type stuff where everybody's running at their
max resolution.
So, yeah, I'm with you. Please give us a nice little physical, please.
I don't think it's what, $40, or is it not even that? I might end up just picking it up anyways, because I used to play these back in the day. I agree. I wish they had done more than just those 3. There's a whole series they could have included, and I would have paid full price for a whole set. And it's when they go back to the classic, it is a more perfect version of that. Like, you're not getting all the weird texture warble of the PS1 or Saturn and stuff like that. Like,
but now we have an
idealized
announcement coming next.
Yes, apparently we're getting Fashion Dreamers Classic Fair update.
What is that?
You can now dress up your characters, and
you dress up ladies and women, and you parade them around, and then you talk about how awesome your outfit looks, and then you try to put together another outfit.
I think this is like a Ren Fair update or something like that. Like,
what?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never even heard of this game. This just reminds me of those, you know, on the DS, and there was a ton of them. There was like, I swear, 600 of these games.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine fashion designer, imagine whatever. Yep. And I'm just like,
this is from the same people.
Oh, ew.
This is on a different
maybe not the Imagine ones.
As a different publisher. Before it was Style Savvy.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Published that. The last one, yes, I'm gonna confess, I own them, because the last Style Savvy, you could use your I don't think you could use your amiibos, but they had princess outfits for all the princesses in the game, and I was like, that's how you do things, Nintendo. You put Nintendo costumes in a fashion game and make it chic. But
I'm
fun fact, I keep telling people, I was like, you know who makes Style Savvy? AKI makes Style Savvy. You know what they used to make? They made the WWF and WCW games you loved on Nintendo 64. They now do fashion games.
Wow, that's a turn.
Listen, they had to keep making their money, I guess. And
no argument. I'm just saying, it's just,
I'm just all of this, like, you know, all these announcements, and I'm just like, the Princess Peach Showtime looks good, but other than that, I'm just like,
The weird thing about that classic fair, though, is the limited time event. So you can only wear those, you know, get those costumes quick, because they're going to go away, because then suddenly the stores are going to change their wardrobe to whatever matches the season, which I think is kind of genius in a way, because then you get FOMO.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's gotcha stuff right there.
And then lastly, they announced Ease, I think is how it's pronounced, Ease X Nordics, which is a new RPG that's coming out on the Switch itself.
Are they playing around with the Norwegian stuff? Is that what they're doing?
I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Or did they just they just said, this word sounds weird, let's go with this one?
who knows?
I swear, that's what all the Ys games, like, Ys memories of.
I'm kind of glad they did it this way because if this had been a Nintendo Direct, it would have, even for a partner one, have been kind of disappointing. Like, cause it's very lackluster. It's like,
that's probably why they didn't do a Nintendo Direct, because they knew that it was going to be very
Well, I think they had other stuff that they didn't announce yet.
They're saving it for whatever is next month.
This is the direct version of we could just send it in an email, right? This Direct could have been an email.
Direct X.
Now it's Xbox. It's all Xbox's fault.
I couldn't call it X Direct, although that worked too.
All right, moving on.
It's funny.
It is. So one last thing, Nintendo quietly announced a new amiibo-focused mode for Smash Brothers Ultimate, because we had this little guy finally come out, the Sora amiibo.
His face looks weird.
His face does look weird. I love it. Yeah, I did not know what was going on when you said that, and I was like, why does he say that? And then I heard about what happened, and I was like,
yeah, that's another story for another day.
Yeah, no, I want to look more into that, but
I what? Oh, sorry, you guys were both talking, and my brain filtered out both of you.
We'll talk after the show. It's
okay.
A story to come up because it's scary.
Yeah, nightmarish AI video stuff that's now happening, but we'll talk about it.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah. So Amiibo Tag Tournament, which immediately makes me think of Tekken Tag Tournament, is coming March 1st, according to the official Smash Brothers Twitter account. We have no idea what this is going to be. They've made no announcements. We just know it's specifically around the Smash Brothers Amiibo set, which is now complete. And I have literally a wall of.
So just by
he's done with the game. It's finally finished with this new mode and the last amiibo. He said it's all finished, and the only thing we know about Tag Tournament is you get to tag alongside your favorite amiibo.
Yeah,
that sounds like kind of like a Mario Party mode with a board, kind of, but or it saves all the data on the amiibo, or it's a mode where you literally tag in amiibos that is prompted. Like, you can switch your thing now to tag in this. Blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know.
Go ahead, Steven.
And how genius was it for them to announce that? And then they restocked probably 11 old amiibos on just the Nintendo store alone. They're like, oh, here's a bunch of amiibos from the past. You want them? I was like, oh, now they're cleaning out their warehouse.
Yeah, at least they're finally getting those out there, which is kind of funny. So, yeah, like I said, we'll know more about this whenever they announce it March 1st. But it's just kind of funny that all of a sudden, here's a new amiibo mode. I'm wondering if this is truly going to be the last amiibo, or if they're going to, because they have not announced any. This is the first.
There'll be more amiibo. We're going to get a Metroid Prime 4 amiibo. Come on.
God, I hope so. Because this is the first time in a long time we have had no expectation or announcements for any amiibos.
I think they have to kind of slow down production of them because they probably cost more to make than they would like right now. Once again, supply and manufacturing issues. They are ongoing.
Maybe. All right, let's moving on. So, speaking of Nintendo, and this I thought was kind of funny just to cover really quick. Apparently, the Switch 2 has been delayed, even though nothing has actually been announced. But everyone is convinced now the Switch 2 is only going to launch in March of 2025 now. So we have another year to wait for it. But Nintendo has announced nothing. You can't delay what you have not announced, people. The Switch is still selling great.
PlayStation 6 is delayed too?
Say what?
PlayStation 6 is delayed too. Doesn't that suck?
Yeah, the PlayStation
Xbox
6.
Series. Why do we care?
Yeah, I thought it was funny because we've gotten in such a weird thing with rumors and stuff recently where people just want to get that fire going. And, even from the Xbox announcement that happened, people were immediately taking what was said, cutting out parts of it and be like, oh, they announced they're doing this, or all these games are coming. And they're like, did you not listen to the show? What the hell, guys? But yeah, so now everyone's saying because the Switch Nintendo didn't make a direct this week, that the Switch 2 must have been delayed for a year and all this stuff.
It's going to be revealed next month.
Yeah, it's become one of those cases where every week they're going to be like, oh, they're going to announce the Switch next week. And they just keep doing that until it finally does happen. And they're like, see, I knew it. I was right.
I have an uncle who works at Nintendo.
Yeah, my uncle is Nintendo.
There you go.
Hey, a corporation is a person. It could technically be your uncle, I guess. But in the eyes of the law, a corporation is considered a person for voting rights and so forth. Could you marry a corporation? Could it really be your uncle? Lawyers will probably argue that.
Then I'm gonna see if I can have a polygamous marriage with Nintendo.
And the face on Rachel right now is perfect. That's a clip. All right.
She's like, corporate ick.
What the ass, guys?
Exactly. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, on to our last story of the night. So, do you like games, Rachel? Steven? Would you like to see Embracer Group cancel 30 of them so far? Because they did.
Woo!
Embracer Group canceled 30 unannounced titles in the last 6 months alone. So their CEO, Lars Wingefors, what a name. I love the fact that during the DICE Awards the other night, he was publicly called out and embarrassed during it, where they were like, people hate to hear about two things. And I don't remember what the first one was, but the other one, he was like, and the fact that the Embracer Group is here. And the camera turned to the guy. Everyone's laughing and saying stuff. And he's just like,
well, here,
all upset.
I think it's funny that people are finding this funny about this, and yet they got so ticked off about the Call of Duty comment. Just saying. I'm just saying, okay?
Call of Duty, that's one developer to another, and that's the whole thing with that. This is the fact of someone that's literally shutting down so many companies recently and this other stuff.
No,
that's
I know.
A little bit different.
I know, but I just think it was. This is a serious call out, and then the other one was tongue in cheek. So I just think it's funny how people have the opposite reactions for things.
I still don't think those are the equal thing, though.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're equal. I just think it's interesting.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Either way, because earlier he'd made the statement that layoffs are, quote, something that everyone needs to get through, and then the company said our overruling principle is to always maximize shareholder value.
So in corporate speak, that is, we care only about profits.
And they've shown that as they've shut down so many large.
Remember, they own Crystal Dynamics, which who knows if any of the 30 titles were from them.
I want to know what some of the titles.
One of them was Time Splitters. I know that much because they shut down Free Radical recently, and they were working on a new Time Splitters. So, damn it.
Well, maybe it like television series can possibly be saved.
They'd have to actually allow it, and they laid off the entire company. Like the whole thing's gone. So,
or they'll reuse those ideas in a different game with a different company. You know how sometimes this happens where people are laid off and they're all from a particular place, so they start their own thing and then they create a game that's like a spiritual successor. So who knows?
Hey, Arrowhead's hiring right now. They need the help.
Yeah,
Helldivers.
I would like the group to be able to make the game, because I don't know if that would feel the same if it was, because Time Splitters, the way that whole thing was,
Oh, I know, but sometimes we can't get that. So
I will say there is a video out there called Time Splitters What Happened that you should watch, because the group that did Time Splitters, they're kind of cocky too. So that can't help their case much.
Nope. You can't be cocky in the game though. You can't be cocky in the game industry.
Yeah,
it gets you into trouble.
So
Pop-O-Matic trouble.
All right, so let's move on to the big question. All right, so this week I just wanted to have a fun little easy one for us to talk about, because it's always entertaining. So the question I had is, if you wanted to introduce your favorite system to someone that has never played it before, what single game would you use and for what system? So to start this off, I ended up going with the Super Nintendo, because that was one I always grew up with and loved. But the game I would probably hand somebody would be Mega Man X, because that thing, for the controls, the graphics, the music, sound effects, everything about it highlighted what the Super Nintendo could do, how well everything worked on it. some absolutely foundational game design that people are still using and talking about, onboarding people into it and so forth. It's just a damn fun game. Like, just jumping, shooting, man. So, all right, Steven, what about you?
My pick was for Sega CD. It was for Snatcher. It was to show people what good writing from Hideo Kojima looks like.
Oh,
he has fallen from grace, in my opinion. He just copies what Hollywood directors do. So he's probably going to make the next Madam Web or Morbius, but just with a game form.
Wow!
But no, it was one of those games that it was like the first visual novel before those really became a thing, even here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had our point and click, we had our Zork, and we had stuff like that, but we didn't have anything as, I guess, as completely engaging in terms of style. I think until Snatcher. So that for all it was just picking choices and shooting guns was awesome, and I played every year.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get that going again so I can play it. Finally, we can get those recordings done for later this year. All right, and Rachel, what about you?
Mine's the GameCube, much to no one's surprise.
Good choice.
And I would actually hand them a copy of my favorite game, which is Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. And not because it's my favorite game, but because it's a platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go wrong with a good platformer. It's a very pretty game. It's bright and colorful. The soundtrack is a bop. It's got just all this kind of like didgeridoo, Australian sounding, just fun, upbeat music. And it's got a little monotony, but what I call a comfortable monotony, where you're going to an area to collectathon, but you have to do different. There's some challenges that are the same, but it does provide some variety. It's got an interesting combat system in that you're throwing boomerangs instead of just, swiping something with like a sword or jumping on its head. And of course, there's also the bite mechanic. So if you don't throw your boomerang at them and hit them, you bite them. So it's just fun, and it's not super hard.
Monotony.
Yeah, it's not super hard, but it's not super monotonous, and it's got a good soundtrack, and it's just all around good fun. And it also showcases the just the comfortability of the controller for the GameCube, because I still think it's one of the most comfortable controllers to play with. And it shows that it's just got some really good 3D capabilities without the games being too hard.
All right. So that's pretty good choices for a lot of those. Like I was trying to avoid stuff like people like, oh, the N64, get Mario. It's like, okay, we know that's kind of what it was made for, but I still think these are fun ones to kind of introduce people to the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So with that, we will go ahead and start wrapping up this lovely show, our episode 118 that we've gone through. If you want to know where to find us, you can find all of that information, well, below the video. We have this down here on YouTube, down in the what about system setup section, whatever. Me no speaky. So that's got all of our stuff where to find us there. If you're listening to the audio version, it's going to be in the notes for it. You can also go to the contact us page over at zenspath.com. If you want to talk to us directly over on Twitter or X if Steven wants, you can find us at Zenspath Podcast, ZENSPATH PODCAST, where we will message about the show and so forth from there. If you are watching the video version of this, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Share it with people. Leave us a good comment. We love talking with people on here as well. If you are wanting to listen to us, you can find us over pretty much anywhere you find your podcast. Just look for the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we will be available there. And of course, if you're listening and want to watch, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/ZenspathCom. I got a little mixed up and forgot that one. All right. So episode 118 in the can, and we're out. Peace.
Chris, where can we find you?
He's not here.
Chris?